All right, guys. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So today we're going to be talking about the basically the second half of the whole thing with the Enigma code, and then we're going to get into D-Day, Operation Valkyrie, and one of my favorite groups to talk about, which is the Ghost Army. Now, a lot of people don't know about this group. Some of you guys may have heard stories about this, seen things on TikTok or History Channel or whatever, but I'm going to be telling you guys about that. Okay, so here's your warm up picture. Now, the question is pretty straightforward. What do you think Dr. Seuss is trying to say about the Nazis? All right. Now, I had some students in class who were just like, "Oh, who's that dude right there?" You know, that guy is not Hitler, as you can tell, because he has a full mustache. That is Joseph Stalin, the leader of Russia, okay, and the US's ally at the time. Okay. So that's him. And at this time, which we'll be talking about, um, Russia uh, and Germany were fighting. They had a peace agreement, for like a minute, but then Hitler, you know, turned his back, basically just backstabbed Stalin and attacked Russia. Okay. So what do you think Dr. Seuss is trying to say about the Nazis? Okay, so look at this picture, analyze it, break it down. Okay, and write it down. So pause the video, write your response because we're moving on in three, two, one. All right. So in the last lesson, we talked about how the Enigma code by the Germans, was cracked by that guy right there, Alan Turing, and his team to create the basically the world's first computer named Bombi. Okay. Now, here's the problem that they faced. They couldn't tell anybody. Okay. Because here's the thing. Let's say the Nazis sent a message right there and then saying, oh, we're ready to attack this group of allies. Are coming through this area. We're about to attack them right now. If Turing and his group were to send a message to those group of soldiers saying, hey, don't go any further, turn around right now, and let's say that the Nazis are right there, they know you're coming, they're gonna kill you guys. If they decide all of a sudden to turn around, wouldn't that be really, really suspicious for the Nazis? They'd be like, wait, 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 how come this group all of a sudden decided to turn around? You know, doesn't make sense. And they would eventually come to the conclusion that their code has been compromised, that the Allies know what they're saying, and more than likely they would cut radio communication and either more likely alter the machine, to make it more difficult for the Allies to crack, um, or basically maybe find a different way to communicate that would be even harder for the Allies to get a hold of messages and things like that. So to kind of make sure that nobody knew that they had the code, they had to let some people die. They had to let some groups basically fall into traps that they otherwise couldn't have avoided. Now, a student did ask me in class, like, so what they do? They just left, they didn't do anything with the code? No, no, no. Basically, what they did was like this. Let's say the Allies are marching, right? They're going to another town like 20 miles ahead. And let's say the Nazis know they're heading to that town, so they're going to set up an ambush. Basically, what they would then tell the command, the top general people, was, hey, there's a group of Nazis. They know these guys are coming to that town. You should have them like radio in and saying, oh, we need you should go to this town, get some supplies, wait for reinforcements, things like that. And so then they'd be doing that. So that instead of going all the way straight to that town, they might go off onto the next town over and do just that. Wait for supplies, wait for backup, you know, things like that. And that doesn't sound as suspicious as all of a sudden just stopping right before they get to the town and turning around. That's suspicious. Whereas this thing, like, hey, we need water, we need food, we need ammunition, we need backup. Um, that wouldn't sound um, as well, I just had a brain fart right now. Suspicious as to just stop, turn around, things like that, or find an alternate route, or go around the town, you know. So the thing is, they kept this whole thing a secret for about 30 years after World War II ended. Now, the reason they did this is because the British kind of felt like, hey, they don't know we cracked the code. So maybe in some future war, some country might be like, well, hey, nobody broke the Nazi code with this Enigma machine. We'll use this machine to communicate. And if they try it, the British at least would know what they're saying, back and forth to one another. So, like America went through Korean War, Vietnam War, and nobody used the Enigma machine. So then they said basically in the 1970s, yeah, we broke the code. Alan Turing and his team broke it with the world's like first computer. Now, November 18th, 1943, the Battle of Berlin begins. Now, basically from that day up until March 24th, 1944, the capital of Germany, Berlin, is bombed like crazy. Okay, the Allies are flying planes over, dropping bombs left and right. The German people inside Berlin are just, oh my gosh, how can they bomb us? How can they bomb us? Oh my goodness! And people from like uh, Belgium, France, Britain, Norway, Finland, Poland. These guys are like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You all crying. You bombed every one of those places. You bombed major cities and you didn't shed a tear. And all of a sudden, now that's happening to you. Now oh my gosh, this is happening to us. Now you crying? No, 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 no. In fact, allies, send another bomb to them. you know so yeah, and the thing is, the allies wanted those people in Berlin, the German people, to know we can get you at any time right now. Okay, now I'm not one to tell you guys in class, you need to know this date, you need to know this person, you need to know this, you need to memorize this. I'm not like that, because that's the kind of teachers I had growing up, and that's not what history is really about. No, remembering dates and names and stuff like that. No, it's remembering the story, why we are where we're at right now, and the decisions our ancestors made. What were the good things, the bad things, the repercussions, the echoes in history that were made because of their decision. Okay. Now, with that being said, there really are some dates you should remember. Okay. This one is one of those days. June 6th, 1944. That's D Day. Okay. Now, I know you guys have probably heard about D Day from movies, TV shows, video games, stuff like that. But there are certain things that really tick me off because nobody ever talks about them. You know, it just, everyone starts off with the beach invasion, and that's not how D Day started. Okay. When it started was just after midnight on June 6th. 24,000 paratroopers. These are soldiers who are with the parachutes, right? They're in over 1,000 planes, and they're flying into France. They're flying over the beaches of Normandy, and they pass like the beaches, this little forest area, and the guys start dropping down, right? The Nazis on the beach basically like, whoa, 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 those are the Allies. Let's look at they're dropping people off. Let's go get them. So they run out there and try to capture those guys, fight them, and things like that. So that only left like a skeleton crew, or should say not skeleton, but more like a light crew left on the beach. And this is where the land invasion begins. Okay. At 6:30 in the morning, it begins. A total of 176,000 men cross the English Channel into Normandy, across 5,300 boats, and along a 45-mile stretch of beachland. Okay. This became known as Operation Overlord. Um, so anytime you hear that term on movies, TV shows, video games, stuff like that, they're referring to D-Day. Okay. Now, the Allies basically take a page out of the Nazis. The Nazis did this thing called Blitzkrieg, where they hit an area really quick, overload them with a ton of people, and basically made the people like freak out and like run away or surrender. Now, along that 45-mile stretch, there are certain sections that each country took. Okay. America took section Utah and Omaha. You hear about Omaha all the time on like Call of Duty World War II, Saving Private Ryan. They talk about Omaha. Okay, that's where it's set. The British had section Gold and Sword. Okay. Now, the next part is another thing that really upsets me is because nobody ever talks about Canada. Yes, the Canadians, the good old neighbors up north. Oh, I bet you. Oh, yeah. I'll bet you. Those guys, they fought on D Day. They were right alongside America and Britain. But nobody ever talks about these guys. And they did just as good a job as our guys. And they took Section Juno. Okay? So here's the thing. Imagine this. First bunch of boats start coming, right? The Germans see them coming. As soon as the tailgate part starts coming down, those Germans are like, all right, here we go, here we go. Brrr, they start shooting right at the tailgate going down. So a bunch of our soldiers are getting shot. Another boat's tail, and drops down. So they start going to that one. Brrr, brrr, right now, all of a sudden, now there's more boats coming. More soldiers are coming down. So now they're coming on the beach area. Now these guys are spraying, praying. Brr, 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 right? And even more boats are coming. So now they're focusing on the beach. Well, now more boats are coming and guys are just getting off. So they're heading towards the beach. Now they're past the first barrier. They're going to the second barrier. And the Germans are like, get out there, start shooting them, get out of the bunker area. And they're try to hit whoever they could. And it gets to the point where the Blitzkrieg attack by the Allies overpowers them. And the Germans are basically forced to leave. Okay. Now, this is the bloodiest 1 day battle in U.S. history. And this is bigger than Antietam, which, if you were here with me during the Civil War lessons, you would know that that was a pretty bad battle, 1 day battle. D Day was pretty bad. Okay. Um, so as you can see, let me move this camera here really quickly. So as you can see from the side over here, there's some ships, some soldiers are in a straight line here on the bottom. You see some tanks, some jeeps and things like that. And if you look way in the back, there's a bunch more ships and jeeps and tanks and stuff like that. There's even explosions happening over here in the back area. Yeah, it was an intense battle. Now, here's the thing. Those Nazis who were on the beach are now running away, you know, but guess who's behind them? Remember those paratroopers? Yeah. So these guys are like caked in. So some Nazis do get killed. Some are captured. Some get away. Okay. Um, Now, the thing is, Hitler during this time is mainly focusing on Russia, and he comes to realize we're losing bad against Russia. And the United States and Britain just got a foot into Europe. So basically, he tells his men, get out of Russia, come on over here to France, and let's push the Americans and British back across the English Channel. Okay. Now, Hitler did not have complete love and loyalty of his people. At first, he did. Okay. The people did love him, the military people loved him, right? But as time went on, his position, his disillusion of grandeur really got to him. Because remember, these military leaders, these generals and some of that, they're the ones who thought of the Blitzkrieg attack, who, when, how to attack these guys, where to attack them. Um, so they're the ones who really conquered all that, basically all of Europe, except for like Switzerland, you know, but they were the guys who orchestrated all that stuff. As time went on, as they were conquering area after area after area, Hitler, being the Fuhrer, was like, That was all me. That's all me. You know, I'm now in charge of the military because I know better. I'm the Fuhrer. And the top generals were like, but we're the ones who thought of all this stuff. We're winning because of us. No, no, no. I'm the Fuhrer. I'm the Fuhrer. It's because of me. And not all, but there were some Germans who basically heard about what was happening with the Jewish people, with Hitler's final solution. And that kind of rubbed some people the wrong way because they were like, wait, I thought we were just like rounding them up and like putting them up like another part of the country, like keeping them away from us. I know you're gonna go execute these guys and kill them. That's not right. So there were some German people who kind of like, that doesn't suit well with me. Okay. Not every one of them. Okay. But there were some. And some of these military leaders, same thing. They didn't like what Hitler was doing. Think he's mas chingon. And he basically, like the attack on Russia, they saw it as like, you're just killing our men. You're not doing anything to help them. Your battle plans suck. You know. So there in total, there were 42 different plans to kill Hitler. Now, how do we know there was 42? Because those were the people who were caught. Groups and people and stuff like that who were caught, who had a plan to kill Hitler, and either the SS, the Gestapo, somebody was able to foil the plan and get those people captured and basically have them executed. Okay. Now there could have been hundreds of different plans. The thing is, we don't know the exact number because none of those people ever wrote it down. They didn't put the plan in motion or nothing. So that's why we don't know the exact number of total plans that were created. But we just know for fact there were 42, but they were all failures. Now, the closest they ever got to killing Hitler happened on July 20th. It's known as the July Plot or Operation Valkyrie. Now, there were some high level German officials who basically decided, you know what? We're going to stage a coup d'etat, which is basically where a coup is basically where the military takes over the government, okay, and gets rid of the politicians and stuff like that. So the plan was to kill Hitler and his top people at this place called the Wolf Slayer. Kill them. Then, when the guy who sets off the bomb, which would be Stauffenberg, returns back to Berlin, they would try to take over the sections of Germany by saying that the Gestapo and the SS they're the ones who kill Hitler, and then they could take over all of Germany and then basically try to contact the Allies and stop the war because they don't want any more German soldiers or German citizens to die. Okay, now here's was the original plan. At the Wolf Slayer, it's like basically in the middle of a forest area. There's like two roads that go in through that area, and the military has those areas covered. The rest of the forest area is basically like landmines and stuff like that. So like there have been times like Bambi would prance around and blow up, you know. So the thing is, at the Wolf Slayer, there's two buildings. Um, there's a concrete building and a wood building. Okay. The concrete building is typically where they would meet Hitler and his top men to discuss the plans that's going on, what's happening with the most latest updates on troop movements and stuff like that, where the Allies are, where their guys are, things like that. The plan was Stauffenberg was going to basically detonate a bomb inside the concrete building, and with the pressure of the explosion and it being in a tight contained area, the explosion would go through all the rooms, through the hallways and stuff like that, and basically then be able to get out. But because of the pressure inside the concrete building, it would kill everybody inside. Okay. Here's the problem. On July 20th, it was a really hot day. And they decided, you know what? Let's not go into the concrete structure. Let's go to the wood building. Now, Stauffenberg's already made up his mind. I'm going to detonate the bomb here and now today to basically kill Hitler. So he has like a little briefcase, satchel type of thing, right? He clicks the little capsule that lets this acid go through to detonate the bomb. He said he put the satchel thing right near Hitler, you know, and he leaves, and then the bomb goes off, exploding, right? He then leaves to Berlin, and he's telling everyone, I killed Hitler. Hitler's dead. They try, him and the top generals guys, they try to take over Berlin, getting the SS Gestapo people arrested. And later on, they find out that Hitler's not dead. The bomb did explode, yes, but it didn't explode right next to Hitler. It was several feet away. Hitler did get hurt, right? The bomb blast did like send them back. He did have cuts and bruises and some of that, but he didn't die. And that night, he basically told people, "I'm still alive. Yes, there was an attempt on my life, but as you can hear, I'm alive. I'm well. And these traitors will be dealt with." And sure enough, they are gathered up. Um, Colonel General Ludwig Beck, Colonel General Frederick Ulbrich, Major General Henning von Tresckow, and Lieutenant Colonel Schneck von Stauffenberg are all captured and executed. That was the closest they ever got to killing Hitler. Okay. Now, I know a lot of people like to make jokes about the French army, saying, "Oh yeah, you guys just laid down when the Nazis came. You guys didn't do nothing while they were there." That's not true. Okay, the French people, the French military people, they did fight back, but they did it covertly. They had like underground military, people. They, sabotaged, tanks and vehicles and stuff like that. They gathered intel, they pulled off little, assassinations here and there, but they didn't just like lay down and just like wait until the Allies came. No. Okay. But when the US did come, those guys came out of the shadows and helped the Americans push back the Nazis. And they were just kicking the crap out of them, just pushing them out of France. There were about 80,000 Nazis left. And Hitler's telling them, get back over here, get back over here. And there was like one way that they could get back to Berlin. And the Allies knew this. So they started dropping bombs, on like the roadway to stop them. And these Germans went for it. Some of them went on the like trucks, some of them went on motorcycles, some went by like foot, however they could. Of the 80,000, about 10,000 die. We capture several thousand, and the rest basically make it. Now, this group is one of my favorites. It's called the Ghost Army. Some of you guys, like I said, heard about this group, may have heard some stuff about them in movies and video games and TV shows and stuff, History Channel, whatever it may be. The thing is, this was a very special group that was created, and they were made up of 1,100 different types of people, like artists, engineers, designers. Um, you know, these guys were not quote unquote like soldiers. They were more like me, old, fat guys, but they had skill. They were smart. They had knowledge. You know, so officially, these guys were known as the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops or the 3133 Signal Company Special. Now, if you look at that top picture, right, you see right there, that's true. Those guys are lifting a tank, but it's an inflatable tank. That's a balloon. Yeah, these guys created inflatable decoys, tanks, jeeps, made dummy people, So if you look at this bottom picture, basically what they would do is like set up like fake radio messages. They get on the radios, saying, "Oh my God, our convoy got hit. We're stuck. We need backup. We need ammunition. We need help right now." So the Nazi would hear these radio calls, and then they would send like planes to fly over, and they'd be like they see right here, and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, there's some tanks out there. There's some jeeps and people. Yeah." So the Nazis would then come in to that area, thinking they're going to capture a bunch of allies, and It's a bunch of inflatable tanks and so that, and then that's when the Allies would come in and basically capture them. It was a setup. So in that bottom picture you see there, the only thing that's real, believe it or not, are the houses in the fields. That's it. Everything else you see there, those tanks and jeeps looking so the trucks, that's all fake. Yeah, it was pretty creative. This group was pretty good. Now they performed a little over 20 missions, right? And the thing that made them special is, like I said, they're pretty smart. The average IQ for these guys was about 119. Now, depending on which scale you look at, between 115 and 129 is considered above or highly intelligent. It's not like genius level or anything like that, but they're still pretty smart, pretty creative. Okay. Now, of the 1,100 guys that were in the Ghost Army, only 3 were killed and 30 were wounded. Other than that, the rest of them went unharmed. Okay. So, like I said, this is a group that nobody really talks about. There's like a couple videos about them and things like that, but that's about it. Okay. So, that's basically it for this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed this lesson. With that being said, guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Okay.